Are you looking for a faster video? Well, today it's a live stream and I know you're probably looking for a really nice and tidy edited down video, but I have ways for you to make it faster. You can click that little gear on the YouTube settings right there on the video and adjust the playback speed, make me sound like a chipmunk, and it'll go a lot faster. You can also look and see if there's timestamps for this project in the description, and if you're on a desktop, you can hover over the time bar at the bottom of the screen and see if it's chunked up into chapters, and then that way you can go directly to the step you're looking for. And lastly, you can also tap on the screen on the right hand side of the video picture or on the left hand side to make the video jump ahead, forward or backward if you're on a mobile device. And you can adjust that amount in your settings so you can have complete control over how much it jumps. So if you are on a desktop, you can use the fast forward or the rewind, and that will make it go faster as well. You can also enable subtitles, and the little CC on the screen will enable closed captioning. That way, if I am a little bit harder to understand with that double playback speed, the subtitles might help you out. All right, well, I know that it's not a nice little edited video, but if you sew with me, we'll get there together and it'll be lots of fun. And now for the live stream. Happy sewing! Hello, how's it going? How's it going? Can you see me? Can you hear me okay? How's it going? Hey, Malin. Hi, Carla. All right. How's it going? Is everything look and sound okay? Hey, Hannah, how's it going? April Fools! I'm like, oh, they probably don't even know I'm playing a joke on them. How's it going? All right, so today I'm at my ironing table with my serger. And so there's a little bit of stuff in front of me. And if we ever do a lot more serging and stuff like that, I'll probably set up a station. So I got Donna. I was like, what kind of April Fool's joke can I play on my stream? Oh, cool, cool. Hello. I got Malin too. I love it. Hey, Sharon. Welcome, welcome. Hello, Hillary. I don't know. I haven't played an April Fool's joke in a really long time, so I'm kind of rusty. So, hi Carla, how's it going? So today we're making the 5 out of 4 patterns. It's a free pattern. You go to the website and download it, and it's the kids' pajama bottoms. And I cut them out yesterday. They went pretty quickly, actually. Hey, Joyce. And let's see. I made the slippers yesterday too, so I'll show you when I'm at my regular machine. So, hello, Stephanie. How's it going? So, I'm basically going to try and do everything on my serger. So that means the construction of the pants and shorts, the pockets, also the elastic to the waist. And I have a dedicated video on how to do that. And the elastic I'm using is only 1 inch wide. The pattern calls for 1 1/4. So it's a little narrow, but it's going to be fine for kids' pajamas. And I'm going to set up my machine for cover stitch at the end, but I can't guarantee it's going to do a pretty stitch. It's been a little bit like womp lately. So, and I haven't done it in a while, a few months. So we'll just see how it goes. And I'm totally up for it. So I'll only be using my single needle machine to stitch down the waistband once it's serged to the pant and the short. So I love doing it that way. I know it's a little nerve-wracking to overlap the elastic to the pant, but the great thing about it is your elastic never twists in the casing, and it's really not that bad. If you're doing a really thick fabric, then you might struggle a little bit. I would be a little nervous about that, I'll be honest. So, all right, so the first thing, I'm going to do timestamps too, so I have my little pen and paper here. And I got the time counter right here that I'm pointing at. That is so I can easily write timestamps because I actually can't see how long I've been live even if I'm looking at my stream. So that's what that's for. So we're going to write down, we're going to put the pocket on first. So I have these cute fabrics that my niece and nephew picked out. I'm doing a boy, my nephew's is a size 14. I'm doing the biggest size. And I'm doing a size 6 for my niece. And the pattern it calls for wovens. I'm trying to separate these pants out here. And I'm using a knit. I'm just using the spoon flower. What did I say it was? The cotton spandex. All right, so I'm just going to put the pocket to the short, just like this. So I have a short front here. And we're going to do this 4 times. We're going to put this pocket between the notches that are right here on the side seam. So you're going to line up the notches of the pocket. Basically, you're just going to center the pocket over these notches. I didn't put the notches on my pocket because it's not that necessary. And it's going to be a little awkward using a serger going on and off right here. That's just how it is. 3/8 inch seam allowance. So it's kind of it's an ideal seam allowance for knits, funnily, even though it was set up for wovens. So, hey Raye, how's it going? Fingies crossed. I love that. I haven't even done a test sew on my serger, so hopefully it's all set up. You know, honestly, I think I'm going to put a 4th cone of thread in here. I'm just thinking about it, and I think like that would be better than doing 3 thread, so I apologize. I'm going to put a 4th needle in here. Or I mean a 2nd needle in here, 4th cone. Because this way I'll have an extra security seam and I won't have to worry too much about the like sometimes what I like to do is serge something. This is really awkward at this angle, I won't lie here. Because a lot of times what I like to do, because I don't mind it, is I'll sew the seam and then overlock the edges. You know what I mean? I don't use the serger as the seam. Well, that went in pretty easily, right? Let me make sure I have my needles nice and tight. Can't see it now. Oh my gosh, get in there. Let me go get a cone of thread. All right. My favorite thing to do live in front of people is thread my needle. And that is definitely an April Fool's joke because it is my least favorite thing to do in front of people. Oh, I need my little scissors. And we'll bring the seam ripper and the awl. We got all our buddies. I spent so much time working on cameras and everything, I forgot about this one little needle. All right. Let's try this out. All right, that looks pretty good. It'll be a little noisier today, sorry about that, because the serger isn't as classy. I'm just teasing. I don't mean to insult my serger when I'm about to use it. Hello, Allison. Yeah, you don't either, Malin? Yeah. Oh, really, Allison? Well, what do you mean? What kind of stitch does it do? All right, so let's pick this up. I'm just gonna put my serger right where I want it instead of going on and off. So So the other thing you can do this where you can clip this right here below, because this has like a little extension on the pocket. Pull it out of the way. You can do that too. How's that camera angle? A little more? It's like right in my face. Oh, why are you afraid to change your needle? Is it funny to do? All right, so we have 1. We're going to do this 8 times today because we're doing 2 pairs. I don't do anything small around here, do I? So like I said, this pattern is meant for wovens, but I'm doing it on in knits, and I think for kids' pajama bottoms, you're going to be okay. Going from a knit pattern to a woven is a little bit dicier, but going from woven to knit on something loose, I'm not too worried about it. Just barely cutting any off, mainly because it's only a 3/8 inch seam allowance. Get in there. You'll see some pocket patterns actually have the extension on the pant and the pocket, not just the pocket. 2 threads and not 3. Oh, mine will do 2 threads as well. Can you not add another thread? How many needles does it do? I'm not an expert or anything. Oh shoot, I didn't put my notches, that's right. I didn't put my notches on the back. I was all cavalier about that part. Oh, okay, Beverly. Yeah, I understand that. Like, I actually really understand that because I know that with mine, if I don't have the needle all the way up into the shank holder, it won't be the right depth, right, in the machine, and then that, can cause a problem. So I feel you on that, but maybe what you could do to reassure yourself is, like, put the... look at your machine at different heights. Like put your needle all the way up and then look at the needle in relation to the machine and see where it's at. Maybe even take a picture, and then like that way you have a reference and you don't have to worry too much. I only need the top right here. I want this. I'm trying to look around my camera. It's really awkward. Okay, I'm just gonna do the top. There we go. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like I have to do some things like that to reassure myself. That way I know I'm being consistent or I'm looking at the right thing. And I don't know about you, but mine also has, I never use it. It might not. Oh, yeah, here it is. Wait, that's not it. This. Mine has this little tool. Do you see that little hole? That's what you hold the needle with, and then you have, mine's on a brush. Then you push the needle all the way up. That way the needle's not going to fall through and you don't have to hold with your fingers. I make it look hard because I'm not using the tool. You know what I mean? Yeah, I don't know why my stuff isn't highlighted for you guys anymore. Your names all used to be a color, and I knew who you were by your color. And it doesn't do that anymore, and it's really annoying. I don't know why. Get in there. I'll just continue with this, pulling it back. We're going to catch all this into our side seam right here, so it's going to be tricky anyway because we have this inverted corner. Yay. One more pocket. Where are you? Here you are. Oh, that's smart, Raye. I love that. You got this, Beverly. You got this. Knits are always so clingy, aren't they? Hi, Elena. How's it going? Doesn't this fit? Wait. Oh, God. I just had a panic attack that that was the rise. It was just folded back. My sisters did not want to cut that, did they? Okay. So let's stack these so that we keep track, right? And maybe what I'll do is even stack these for their next step. And I put a double notch on the back, right? Yep. So this looks like a front, right? It looks the same. Wait a minute. It's not though, huh? Yeah, it is. Oh no, there's the double. Okay, so we know these two will go together. I like to set myself up, you know, for steps. And then these two will go together. All right, so we got that. Now we're going to do the pants. Which are a little longer. Let's see if I have all my notches here this time. I am, you know, what I have learned about that is that the serger needle is already set up for whatever it wants to sew. Okay, these are fine. And that's such a vague answer I just gave, but I don't think there's actually specific needles for knit or not sewing knit for the serger. You know what's really funny is I went to change my needle in my industrial this morning into a ballpoint, and I learned that the one little package of ballpoints I have, I am pretty sure they are either not ballpoint or they are not the right size. They say they're size 12 ballpoints. Those things are honking. I don't know why I haven't noticed it before, unless the others were fine and these two are, you know, I kind of inherited this package. I ended up putting a size 14, just regular, in there, because I was like, It sounded, just on my test fabric, it sounded like I was sewing with a screwdriver. You know what I mean? Like it was like big and thunk. So I'm having trouble keeping up with chat today. It's so far away. Oh, hi, Michelle. I think that's personal preference. I don't. I use my rotary for everything. I don't differentiate. I do have a couple of rotary cutters, but I think that would be nice, good practice, you know, to keep your rotary blade separate from like a paper and a natural fibers and synthetic is kind of probably what I would do. But I don't think it's necessary per se, but I don't really feel like I'm an expert on that. I don't mind it, you know. But to be honest, like my rotary cutters are cutting fabric more than paper. Even though the paper's on top, there is fabric underneath, but at the same, like when I'm doing pattern drafting, I don't use my rotary cutter to cut it. I use scissors, and I use paper scissors. Let me get this out of the way a little more. There we go. And you know, you can trace off your pattern, you don't have to cut your pattern directly out onto the fabric like I do. I just don't mind it. A lot more people than don't trace it off and keep a copy, like they have a copy of it. I don't. Do you usually stretch needles in your serger? So there is a thing? Okay, so I'm wrong. Yeah, the serger. Totally. So you guys use stretch. So you don't have to buy specific needles, because mine are these ELO. Mine are, this is all I've ever seen. EL 705. Look at that. Look at it's the least amount of information ever on a needle packet I've gotten. There's no other nothing. So there's no differences. Okay, so these are, okay, we're just laying these out here. Yeah, I think like that is a good point. They are disposable, so it's not like they're it's your forever scissors. So I can see that logic for sure. The if it makes you uncomfortable to use your rotary knife on paper as well as fabric, Michelle, one thing you might consider is getting Swedish tracing paper. Have you heard of that stuff? Hearts Fabric sent me some, and it's pretty cool. It's almost like interfacing, but it's not. It's kind of that same, it's like a weird fabric, and you could trace off your patterns on that and then put that on your fabric. The other benefit is it clings to your fabric, so it won't shift around. Like paper is kind of slippery, you know? So that would be an option, and then at least you're cutting fabric and fabric, you know? It's a synthetic, but... Oh, that's, yeah, Melon. I've done that too. Yeah. Oh, that is handy, Melon. Mine do not. In fact, sometimes it's hard to find that needle because they're all out. My local fabric store totally saved me once before a stream. And they didn't know they were saving me, but I was like, oh my gosh, you guys just saved me. Because I thought I had a whole package of needles, and I think they probably fell like into a garbage can, and I couldn't find them anywhere, and I needed to do cover stitch that day, and I only had one needle. I was like, uh-oh, this whole project I've set up is about to not happen. Oh, come on, stop curling. And they were like, oh, you know what? We don't have those in stock. I was like, okay, that's a bummer. And then they said, do you really need them? And usually I would have been like, oh no, it's fine. But I was like, I really need them, even if I could just have one. And they're like, oh, we'll just sell you one of ours from our machines from the floor. And I was like, okay. So they said we're getting them in like a couple days so we can replace it. That was really nice of them. I'm such a no-fuss knitwear sewer, aren't I? I don't do any of the cool things people do. All right. So now we're going to do our side seams. And I think like this is pretty tricky, to be honest. This little inverted thing. So I might actually, we could pre-sew this on the machine. The industrial. Why aren't these lining up? Oh, because that's folded down. I mean, it's okay. I'm just looking at it right here. We don't need to look at all of this. So we have this inverted corner right here and serging around that. It's tough for me too. So what I think I'd like to do is I'm going to sew a stitch above and below the pocket opening. That way it'll kind of stabilize it and kind of set us up. So let me move over to my regular machine. I have to move the camera and the microphone. and my tools. And I need to zoom out. And I need the mouse. I guess I didn't set up this camera. Let's zoom it in a little bit, brighten it up. Brighten it up a little bit. This is where I'm usually sewing if you're new here. Just a second. I spent so much time on this morning and it doesn't look like it, does it? That'll do. That'll do, pig. All right. What have I missed? Oh, so here's my little slippers. Okay, so my idea for straightening out the front, it did make it a lot easier to sew these. But I will say, like, I think we could, if we ever do this again, and I don't know, after this round, I don't know if I'm going to sew these again, I would flare this like this. Because they admittedly sit better with this up, but you're supposed to be able to, there's also like a thickness here. You're supposed to be able to fold it down, and the front is just not as deep as the back. So maybe I would raise up the front and flare it a little bit so that you could cuff it or not cuff it. So yeah, so these are the little slippers, and this fabric inside is super cozy. Let's put those there. All right, so we're just going to, I like to say tack a lot, but it's just like my version of base, but I'm not gonna remove this stitch. So yeah, I did. I just did them yesterday. My mom is leaving tomorrow, and so she said she'd carry a package. I'm kind of like right now feeling like maybe I should just mail it. You know, stop giving myself this pressure. This isn't quite matching very well. Okay, so there's this seam right here, right? And what I want to do is I want to just stitch kind of like right here, just to kind of secure it. So I'm just going to come down and maybe just stop right here. So basically what you're doing is just creating the opening, but you can't make it too small. These pockets aren't very big, and I don't have the size hand to test it. So I'm just going to do a little bit right here, just inside the seam allowance, straight down. So the seam allowance is like right here, right? This is the 3/8. So I just went past it, just barely. And in this way, this is all lined up, and I know it's secure when I go to do the overlock. You also want to get these seams stacked on one another. And what you can do is just kind of peel this up. I'm pushing the seam allowance to the pocket. So I'm just getting this seam stacked up on top of the other one best I can. And this little stitch we're doing kind of hides it if you don't get it perfectly stacked, so don't sweat it too much. So I'm just going to stitch straight down. And honestly, what I wanted to do was go around this whole thing a little bit, just right here. I'm pretty out of practice with sewing a pocket on my serger. Like that. Sorry, my press fit's all wild today. I'm wearing clogs. I haven't worn clogs in a while. Where is Walter? So that's what I did, right? So let's see what it looks like on the other side. Why did I go so far over there? Oh, well. So there's my little pocket opening now. Now all I have to worry about is pretty much serging as much of this as possible. This isn't a woven, and so if I were doing a woven, what I would do is I would overlock around the perimeter of this pocket first. And then I would probably overlock this up here, each edge, just separately. Then I would attach my pocket to the pants. This goes for fronts and backs. And then I would probably just stitch straight down and around the pocket with my regular machine. And then that way you don't have to worry about any of this. So, pedal. I don't know what we're talking about. I love it when you guys talk together, though. Did the repair guy seem to have seen one? So do you not like the stitch, Allison? How is it just does not feel as useful to you? This one's lower too. I wonder if that notch is a little off or I notched it off. Let's look at the overall length and see. Yeah, it's a little bit lower. Oh, this one's, oh, this whole one's longer. All right. Pulling that other pocket to line up. This is just going to give me peace of mind when I'm using my serger around this area here. And like when I get to this inverted corner, what's going to probably happen is I'm going to peel this away, try and serge as much as possible. So usually a pocket pattern would be shaped so to where this isn't an angle going straight up. It would come and end up at a right angle to the pattern, to the side seam, sorry. So when you come around, you could do a continuous stitch. It doesn't just go like that. There's pockets like this, obviously, we see these. It'd be easier for serging if you, maybe when you go to cut it out, you don't even have to do any of this. If you added a little bit here, just fill in this little spot right here so that this cut line goes like this and then straightens out and gets perpendicular to the side seam. Same with here. You'll see when I do draft pockets, I kind of go out like this, kind of at a right angle to the side seam. That really helps your ease of sewing. But that's the kind of thing I think about because of production. They have to be able to do it without pins, you know, without too much fuss. None of this pre-sew stuff that I'm doing right now, right? They tack things, but it's not like this. Oh, really? Like perpendicular. Is it a flat lock machine? Doesn't sound like it, but. Hey, Louise, how's it going? Ooh, 4 days off. Oh, it's Easter weekend. All right. He had a spare pedal. Oh. Has to be threaded with tweezers. Almost all my sergers have been like that. This one has air threading, but I imagine most, you know, that's a nice modern thing. I kind of don't. I like it. Like, don't get me wrong. The air threading is really great. It's awesome. But the amount of times you actually remove all your threads and need the, because usually you can just tie it off and pull it through. For the cover stitch, I can't. But I kind of wish it wasn't always a feature because I feel like it's adding so much to the price of these machines. Yeah, you can tighten your tension. Hey, Anna, how's it going? Oh, I'm so glad. It was really fun. I feel like I could have done better on 2 questions, but I'm trying not to think about it. Yeah, it doesn't sound like it's a flat lock, but when she said she pulled it apart and it was like ladder stitches for me remind me in the serger world of a fake flat lock. So I know it's not a flat lock machine because you wouldn't have probably bought it because it's set up completely differently on how you sew. Like the whole head is different the way you approach it with the fabric and stuff. So usually like a home serger will do a fake version of a flat lock. You guys are so awesome. It's funny, like I always think like last week I feel like I felt like last week was full for me. By the end of the week I was kind of pooped. And it was those surprise streams and that I did, and it just adds, you know, a lot. But at the same time, like when I don't stream Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, it feels like a long time when I haven't seen you guys. Yeah, well, I don't mean you don't change your thread color-wise, Elena. I mean, when you change your thread, do you tie it off on the cones and then pull it through, and you just unthread the needle, pull them through, and then rethread your needle? So all your cones like that? Because that's what I do. The only time I have to actually pull off the cones, pull out all the threads, and rethread the machine from scratch is cover stitch. Or something's going on, and I'm like, all right, time to do a hard reset, right? So in other words, you're barely using the air threading for the amount of time you're using the machine, you know? I'm doing this in such a clunky way. I'm sorry, you guys. The knit makes it just gives it this nice little layer of difficulty because they're so fiddly. I'm just pre-sewing. If Andrea was doing this from Sew to Fit, she probably has this really cool method to like use a spray adhesive or something, and she'd be done with both pairs by now. My serger is a Baby Lock Evolve, and it converts to cover stitch. It does way more than all I want is a serger to do 4-thread, like 3-thread, 4-thread, 5-thread serging. And I like it when you can do a serger where there's a seam next to the overlocking, you know, like right here, like a small 1/8 of an inch away, right? I like that. That's my favorite kind of serging because it creates a seam and then the overcast edge. I think that looks the most ready to wear, professional, and it's a bit wider seam allowance, so it feels a little more stable. I'm not an expert. These are just things I prefer. And mine does that. It does the 5-thread, 3-thread. It goes up to 9 cones. I've never used it with 9 cones. Oh, Elena, okay. Oh, yeah. Well, then you know what? Any machine you have is going to be easier. So, but it does cover stitch, and that's why I got it. And then shortly after I bought it, I was like, you know what? I should have just bought 2 machines because even though it takes only 2 minutes, when I was really good at it, it took like less than 2 minutes to convert it. It was still a pain when I was doing prototypes for clients because sometimes you're serging, cover stitching, serging. And no matter how many, what was that? No matter like any order of operations, you sometimes can't prevent the going back and forth. And that's another thing in production, you're trying to prevent any sewist going back and forth between machines. You want it to be like maybe one machine, then the next machine, and then gone, you know, or one machine, the next machine, next machine. You don't want it going back and forth. And so when I was doing prototypes for clients, to me too, I was trying to save time and because it's money, you know, and so I was like, I should have just gotten a cover stitch. But at the time, a whole cover stitch was $400. And now I saw one, like Baby Lock has one, and it has this like amazing amount of space, head space right here. Between the machine head and the, you know, the right side, and it's $2,000 or $3,000, and I was like, oh no, I'm not doing that. You know, that's a little out of my comfort level. So yeah, all right, I'm going back to the serger. Oh, yours doesn't? Yeah, see, so maybe that's a per serger thing. Okay, well mine does it like a champ, thankfully, and it does have the air threading on top of that, so I would understand exactly why you would want the air threading then. That's a little too close to me. I need to zoom that in though, huh? Hopefully we only have to do this one time. One more time we'll go back to this machine, I think. Yeah, let's see. See how I did that. The microphone's in this really weird spot. And I need to turn the computer so I can see you guys. Oh, I did okay with the face cam. Nice. All right. Let's do this. So my plan right now is probably what I'll do is I'm going to slit into this little corner that I sewed, right? And then we're going to serge this as two separate things. I'm going to do my best to try and turn the corner. Look, I didn't get this lined up because I was lining it up at the waist right here. So I'm going to go around here. So I may be scooping a little bit. Remember, I have this seam here protecting my pocket opening. So I'm going to go around, maybe try and get this to line up about right here. Come around, and I'm going to go off the edge right here. And I'm going to try and get back on right here. So let's try one. No, Allison. No, I know. And I was thinking, okay, well maybe they've gone up and I could get one for $600. So I guess I'm not getting a baby lock. There's just no reason for a machine to cost that much, in my opinion. Let's cut this right here too. We'll just stay. Oh, no. I'm continuing. Sorry. I'm a little spacey today. All right. So when you're doing serging, I'm looking where the knife is. The knife is in front of the needle. You have 2 points of contact with your project, right? You have this knife and you have the needle. Let's get nice and personal. I can't really get too much better of an angle than that. Can I? What do you think of that? So here's my knife. Here's my needle back here. So you're kind of more concerned initially about where that knife is. But sometimes using the knife, you're a little nervous about like not cutting something off, right? Right. But at the same time, you might miss something at the back with the needle. And I kind of use this area as a pivot to manipulate the fabric the direction I want. One of the things I do consistently wrong is I won't catch one pocket layer. So I'm trying to make sure I do. So I just flipped my whole garment out of the way. We're at the bottom of the pocket and I'm just kind of flipping it up. And you can see I really pushed it so that it stayed and kind of caught this little edge here. So I'm just going to leave a little bit of a tail. Sometimes I go back and secure my tails. So let's see, today. Well, I almost didn't catch my pocket there, so I might reinforce that spot. But that's not too bad. That looks pretty good. So now let's do the rest of the side seam. And then I'll zoom out the camera so you can see. So let's fold this back again. Let's see. So I'm going to lift up the presser foot. Set it down. My needle is like a full inch away from where I'm sewing. Now I'm on. Hey Penny, how's it going? Or Patty. I knew it! And then I went back on myself. Oh, you can get... Sorry. Alright, so let's look. How'd I do? Not too bad. So there's my start and stop there. If we did that. Oh, I know why I can't do this. Oh wait, okay. My foot pedal won't reach. Okay, there we go. A little bit more space here. So that's not too bad. They're definitely not ready to wear looking. All right, I'm going to do this inseam on this pair of shorts, and then that way we're ready to put our Rays together. So this has this little hem shape. So we're just going to kind of straighten it out a little bit so that we don't trim off our little angle here for the hem. All right, one leg is done. Do it again. So same thing. I'm going to go around, I'm going to go down the side seam at the top of the short and around the pocket, go off and then go back on. Remember, I've already pre-sewed this. I'm not too worried. I'm just trying to keep my needles on the fabric and not cut too far in when I turn there. I thought I just broke a thread, but I didn't. I think my cone just did something funny. This lined up. Ooh, someone's in my building. Alright, so I forgot to slit up to this little pivot point. There we go. Pull this pant out of the way. And where's my awl? Let's get this nice and flush to the side seam. Too bad. It's kind of messy there. No matter what, right? It's kind of messy there. Hey, Mrs. Necker, how's it going? I saw someone mention you. Oh, ready to wear meaning it doesn't look store-bought. Yeah, right. Penny changed her name to Penny. I know, and then I totally second-guessed myself. I knew you would catch that. You know I struggle with it. I really wonder why my YouTube doesn't show all of your names in colors anymore. Like, I don't get that. All right. So that's how this went. So like I said, it would be more ready to wear if, in like store-bought, if you could either serge these pieces separately, then attach them with your single needle, which wouldn't be ready to wear at all. But the other thing would be if this pattern was perpendicular to the side seam right here. That way you could do a continuous seam. That would be more store-bought looking. I'm not going for ready to wear, but I mention it sometimes because I know a lot of people would really like their stuff to be imperceptible to homemade and ready to wear, right? And I don't have any opinion on that personally because I feel like I've seen all sorts of trends with that over the years. One of which, like I mentioned this when I first started Chicken Boots, which was my product business. One of my first like stores I sold on consignment, she said, you know, the problem with your stuff is it looks too polished. It doesn't look homemade. And I was like, I don't even know how to process that, you know, because up until that point, I was taught to make my things look very professional. So, but there was obviously, you know, like a more support for homemade and cottage industry. And so people want to make sure that it was that. And I would go to some of those craft fairs and sell my stuff, and I didn't, this is probably the most snobbish you'll ever hear me sound on the stream, but it was the first time I was like, oh, I don't want my stuff with this, because some of it was falling apart, you know, and I was like, nah. It's just not my customer. And I bought a lot of stuff from those folks because I wanted to support them. But I don't know. I'm oversimplifying how I feel about this. All right, I'm going to clip into this little juncture. I can barely see chat. I'm going to take a look. Okay. Oh, who's Sutter? I didn't say hi to a Sutter. Oh, there you go. Oh, you a 654. Oh. What is that, Sutter? Is that a home Juki or a serger Juki? I don't know the model numbers. You solved that mystery, Raye. All right, pull the pan out of the way. I don't know about your guys' serger, but mine loves to push things out sometimes, and that's why I'm kind of pushing it with the awl. Kind of like, you're staying in there. You know what I mean? I don't use pins with my serger. Occasionally, but really I don't. Oh shoot, I caught some of the this thread stuff in here. Let's just trim that off on either side and then it'll just go away. There we go. All right. I usually get it under the machine, whatever I'm sewing. Kind of use it as like a hand, you know, to help hold it. And then I arrange. Let the presser foot be a hand for me. All right, so these are the pants, so they're a little longer, so I'm gonna match up the side. I'm gonna fly right now, so it's gonna be a little noisy. Actually, I can't push the pedal all the way. It's stuck on something. All right, let's do our inseam. And you'll notice that I'm going from the top down on both sides. I flip it over. That's just my personal preference because I feel like if anything's going to get like misaligned, if the seams aren't going to match, I'd rather it be all at the same end, and I'd rather it be at the hem. All right, so I got it going, so now I'm just going to line up my hem, find a halfway point to hold it, and then I just go. Shape. All right, one more. Yes, exactly. We all need our sewing pals, virtual or real. We're all real, I promise. Okay, so I know my blade's on there, and now I'm gonna pivot. See that? Hear that squeak? What was the squeak? I'm gonna trim this off because I've already pre-sewed this right here. It's a little bit extra there. At least I know I'm catching both layers of the pocket. Get that thread and then 2 months. Oh, I didn't cut this pivot point. There's my awl. I'm gonna make sure that just folded towards me, so I'm trying to fold it back. All right, well, our last side seam. Now, nothing's being sewn yet, so I've already used my machine, but I kind of used my machine just to pull the garment closer. And now my blade's about to start cutting, but I'm all lined up. So when you get nervous about this kind of stuff, I do too. I just try and look at where's my needle and where's my blade. The annoying thing about my baby lock, I don't know if you can see this. This crack right here. This crack drives me crazy. This thing moves around, and so these get inside there, and it drives me nuts. I'm always pulling it and guiding what the blade should cut. And sometimes I don't have a third hand to do that. You know what I mean? Like, it's sucking it in there. It's kind of funny. There's no shape on the outer seam, but there is on the inseam. No, my awl. I have got such great carpet pad in here now that it would probably land point down and stick. So after this, I'm gonna put the pants together at the rise. This is pretty mismatched down here. Do I stretch it? I don't think so. That looks like my cutting error, to be honest, because it lined up here. Okay, so now we're going to put one leg into the other. So this is like, we've probably all heard that Project Runway quote. Pants are easy, they're like sewing two sleeves together. And I loved that quote. I was like, that is so true. It is kind of like sewing two sleeves together at the armhole. So we have our rise right here, right? And then we're going to turn one of our pants. I'm just trimming my little threads here because these are going to get caught in the next seam. We're going to turn one of them right side out. And we're just going to put it inside the other. You don't have to line it all up perfectly inside the leg. In fact, with knit, it's kind of like annoying to do this. And a lot of times I don't. So I'm just going to line up this rise seam. And if you sewed a front to a back and a front to a back, you don't have to worry about getting this backwards. Like it only goes in one way, if that helps. And the way you'll know too is that your front rise is shorter and they should line up, and your back rise is longer and they should line up, right? And so at this crotch rise seam, I like to counter it. I like to push one direction and the other direction so that the bulk there is offset. But you don't have to. If your fabric's thin and you're doing a woven and you want to push them, I would push them, I think traditionally you push it towards the front, but you can do whatever you want. So I'm sorry I can't keep up with chat right now. It's a little far away. But you guys look like you're talking to each other. I have a couple of in real life sewing friends, and I have to admit, when I started the stream, so I used to go to the local fabric store occasionally and pick stuff up for my business, you know, like we would all of a sudden want, like we would know they had a certain collection, maybe our choice for a binding didn't work out even though we bought 90 yards of it, and then we're like kind of scrambling, and so I would look at the fabric store and see if they had anything like really new so I knew it would be available, or maybe I would just go and get needles or something if we couldn't get them fast enough, whatever. And eventually they learned what I did, and so they were always really friendly and welcoming. But I didn't really hang out and sew with any of them. And then when I started the stream and shut down Chicken Boots, and I didn't plan on shutting down Chicken Boots, it just kind of had to happen. And so it was like this big, like, empty void. I was like, shoot. And I just realized, like, Sarah, you really have to make friends in this area. And so I decided to try and start meeting sewing friends. So I've been dabbling in the quilting world since mostly pretty much all the sewists I know here sew quilts. And so I joined like this modern quilting group, and that's been my in real life sewing friends. But I'm not a quilter. So, you know, there's limits. I'm doing a little bit, but yeah. Yeah, exactly, Sutter. Yeah, and the fabric store is geared towards that. And previously it was managed by someone who was adding more and more garment-specific fabrics, and I really appreciated that, and I did all my shopping for it there. But she's not there anymore, and I don't think they've ordered a single bolt of garment fabric since. So it's the same stuff that's been there for a few years, and I've pretty much made everything out of their garment fabrics. And I don't blame them because, you know, if they sell quilt fabrics, they're probably going to keep to that. But it was kind of cool. We were getting some good momentum. I was doing a couple samples for the store. I'm like, hey, can I sew samples for the store? Because then I have a project for my stream and you can keep it. And they were like, sure. You know, so it was a great thing for me. I can tell my neighbors here, and I hope I'm not noisy. I'm so nervous I'm going to be too noisy for them. I've only been in this building since March, so. Oh, that's good, Mrs. Necro. Mrs. Necro. I've definitely done sheets, too. How do you sew sleepers? Oh, hello, Tish. How's it going? I just saw your name. Wait, where did you go? Oh, cool. I'm so glad. I know I'm missing a lot of chat. Sorry, guys. The chat's pretty far away. All right, so here we have our pants are now pants. Oops, sorry. Whack. All right, we got a widow pant, and remember the front has the shorter rise. So this is the front. So, you know, we need something. Well, I can put my label on these. I don't think my niece and nephew would mind, and then that'll help them determine the front and the back, and they'll probably think it's really funny seeing my face on their pajamas. So, all right. And look, all my cats are right side up, always a good sign. So we have our hems and the waist. So let's put the shorts together. So same thing. I'm just going to look and see if I have any serger threads in the way. Just this one here. I still have them on the side seam because I'll probably go back and secure these. You can just cut them if your serger does a better job of these. But I've been experimenting. Oh, look at this one right here. Let's get rid of that. This one is probably one that was on the machine, and it got sucked in there. There we go. So I've been experimenting with doing tails, and so someone gave me this really interesting tip where when you come down, then you immediately turn back on itself and serge the tail in there. Oh no, you go down and then you flip it over and then you serge back on itself and then go off. I have not perfected that yet, though, and I keep forgetting to try it. The other thing is, you know, people use a needle, thread it through. What I like to do is I cut it, I kind of pull it a little to cinch it, maybe trim it up a little more. I fold it back, and then I stitch it down with my regular machine. I'm not too worried about it here, but still, it just looks messy, and I don't really like the way that looks. Not my style. All right, so let's turn. Shorts are going to be a little easier. They're bigger too. All right, so like I said, line up your rise, offset your rise seams, your inseams, and then we're good. Oh, a thrifted flannel sheet, smart. There we go. I think today I decided it's time to get one new camera and a new arms to hold them. Especially for the microphone. The microphone one, of course, happens to be the only one that creaks when I move it, and it's on the microphone. So Don't pull the seam. It is a lot of bias there, so it'll stretch. And you don't want to stretch it out. So let's just nestle these together. Offset the seams one direction from each other. And to kind of keep that seam from still pointing back, I'll use my awl. Once it's cutting, I feel pretty good. So now we have our shorts. So now we're going to get to put the elastic on. Woo woo. Hello, Ellie. How's it going? Welcome, welcome. Oh, really? Okay, so she pulled on the serger threads above the needle to loosen the tension before. Oh, interesting. Yeah. Oh, you have a tiny... Oh. Oh, right. I met my neighbor right here, Raye, finally. Day before yesterday. I was like, who's that? I can hear them. They're here now. I've had really bad luck with being neighbors to counselors. And when I saw I was going to be a neighbor to a counselor, it kind of brought back some post-traumatic stress because it was really bad. They were really irrational to be like I don't need to be stressed about it, but at the same time they were very over the top, kind of kooky. So, all right, I'm going to go to my single needle machine, and I won't change the face cam, but I'm just gonna move the microphone, and we're gonna sew our elastic together first. We have to do that. Ooh, sorry. Makes terrible noise. All right. Yeah, I'm so glad you're here too. Sewing. What is the question about the sewing sleepers? Oh, my mouse is over here. This is where gamers have it so easy. They have one camera. All right, so I have 2 pieces of elastic here. I'm using a 1-inch braided. I like braided elastic a lot, but you just use what you want, you know. So, oh yeah, Penny, how'd the dentist go? I hope it went well. What's the sleeper question? I haven't sewn sleepers since I worked at a children's wear company. Okay, so this is for the size 6. This is for the size 14, and I'm gonna sew it in a circle. And so to figure out your elastic measurement, there's a few different ways. I personally think for the most part, if you use the person's measurement as your cut amount, depending on the elastic, that tends to be pretty consistent and work, because then you're going to overlap it. You're going to lose a little bit. So the other thing is, if you have a really thick fabric, you may have to cut a lot off, because the thick fabric is going to keep your elastic somewhat stretched out all the time. These are the things I've learned. Knitted elastic is a little bit stretchier, and I've also have to use less with knitted elastic. All right, so this, I'm just going to overlap this about 3/4 of an inch. And I'm just going to sew it straight down. I make sure it's very secure. Test it. You don't want this coming out. All right. General, how do you sew sleepers? Oh, I think it depends on the sleeper. There we go. So now we have our circles. So the sleepers, do you mean like footy pajamas? I think it just depends. So. Oh. Okay. So the next thing you need to do is for your pants is, so let's look at one pair. Now, not always, but a lot of times the pants are going to be the same distance across the front as they are the back, right? So meaning this is pretty much a quarter, a quarter, a quarter, a quarter, right? That's not true like on the free range slacks where there's a side panel, or I think the Hudson's where the side seam is really far forward. So what you need to do if your side seams aren't and your centers aren't at a quarter, 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 right? Is what I do is line up your center fronts like this, lay it flat, and then just put a little nip or a mark on each side. It might not be on the side seam, right? It might be like here, you know, like right here or whatever, right? So just get your waist marked in quarters, and then you're gonna do the same in your elastic. And remember where your overlap is. Are you looking at the middle of this as your center, or do you like to do like offset? So just remind yourself, right? And so I'm just gonna put a mark down the middle, and then we're going to mark this, and then I'm going to line these two up, and now we're gonna have our elastic in quarters. Make sure you mark all your elastic on the same side. All right, same on this one. This is just like a wax crayon. It's ancient and I love it. That's so true, Penny. Hey Florentine, how's it going? Yeah, I'm really sorry. I'm having trouble keeping up with chat because I'm my machine. I'm using the serger. All right, we're gonna go and we're gonna serge this on now. All right. I need my scissors. And we need the microphone over here. At least once. Someone told me, just floss the ones you want to keep. That left a searing image in my mind. I'm going to throw all this away. Where's garbage can? I missed my serger that had a little basket that hooked on the front and caught all the stuff. I love that thing. It just unclipped, and I wonder what machine that was. All right, so let's do the bigger size first. All right, so if you want, I'm gonna get some clips just so you don't think I'm a psychopath or something. Oh, and labels. So most of the time I actually don't clip it because I have all these marks, right? And I have to be honest. I'll do the labels when I top stitch the waist down. All right, so you're gonna want to be able to see the marks on the elastic. And so what I like to do is, okay, I'm gonna turn these inside out. Okay, we're gonna turn these inside out, and that's because with the serger, I want the whole garment to be above the bed of the machine like this. So I'm gonna be sewing with the right side up, but the garment's inside out. All right, and you're gonna put the elastic around. Don't do this. Don't start with your elastic like this, because you will have to stop. So make sure, and what I mean by that, let me be really clear about this, because this is so subtle. See, can I move that? Is if you start with your, just like pick up this circle and you just put them together like this, what'll happen is you'll go around and eventually you'll stop, right? You can't go any further. You can keep trying, but it won't work. Trust me. So you need to put this circle around this circle here and just line up. Where's my center back? I think this is my center back. Yep. Line it up like that. And what I also like to do is I put the chalk side toward the short so I can see it while I'm sewing. All right. Now, like I said, you may have marked the side as your middle of your back and then, you know, accordingly divided it into quarters. And I understand that because this bulk right here. So I just chose to keep it in the middle so that it was very clear what I was doing. All right. That's awesome, Mrs. Necro. Oh, I don't know, Beverly. That's a good idea. I thought about making one in vinyl. That way the threads wouldn't cling to it. Yeah, I just need to make one of those. I'm going to do that. That'll be a fun little project. All right, so I'm not going to use pins, and the reason I'm not going to do that is because we just have this. I just have to hold it for this long. That's it. And then I hold the next section, all right? Now, here are my tips. I have a dedicated video to this. So I'm probably a little bit better in that because I thought about it a lot while I was doing that. Here are my tips. You can stretch this while you sew as long as while it's stretched, you keep it that way and you're not going back and forth, right? It needs to be static because you can't pull on your needle as you're going. So if you're going to put this through stretched, you're going to hold it that way, sew it through. Don't hold it and then stretch it as you're going because then that pulls on your needle and then that's when you get into serious trouble. You could break it, you could hurt your machine too. So that's what you need to think of. So this is why I like to do it in quarters because all I have to do is hold it for this one little section. And so here, I'm going to put this side seam. I'm going to push the side seam to the back. All right. Now if you want, what you could do is tack all these four spots on your regular machine. That's totally fine. Just doing that, you know? And then that way now all I have to do is do this. I just have to hold this like this. That's it. And if you want, I'll use a clip. I don't usually, but we'll put a clip here. That way you have a clear reminder. Okay, I'm getting there, you know? All right, let's just go and try it. So I'm not going to stretch it all right now. I'm just going to get it under here like this. And so my needle is like a 1/2 inch past that center seam, just to kind of, it doesn't really, you know, have to be lined up. So, all right, so now I can't just pull on it. It might pull it out from under the machine. I need to put pressure back here. This isn't like on my single needle where I always say, oh, stop needle down, because when you stop needle down, you can kind of use it as leverage. But that's because the pressure of the presser foot on that machine is so good. It's not putting a ton of pressure on the needle itself while you're pulling. So you're trying to rely on that. So I'm going to back it up back here by holding it. I'm going to stretch it. And then we're going to start. And then now I have the needles in there. I can pull a little bit, get it more adjusted. But still, I'm pulling it behind so it has some stability. I'm running the blade right next to the elastic. You're just trying to keep this raw edge butted up against the elastic there. You're not trimming any. If you trim a little, don't sweat it too much. It's okay. Just try not to trim any. And when you get kind of close to your end here, it gets a little awkward. So I'm going to set myself up to my next quarter. All right, here's my, and so let's pull it a little bit. Now I'm all the way there. I feel pretty good. All right. Look, it's looking really good. All right, so here's my next landmark. Oops. I'm not really paying attention which way I'm pushing my rise seam. it's a good idea to do that, but I'm kind of focused on just giving the tutorial on how to get this in here. So and see, we're not worried about our garment getting caught under the needle because it's above the machine. I sew all my circles like this. All right. Now we're coming to the beginning. You can see, look, I have a little bit of an angle right here. If you wanted, you could take out these few stitches and kind of get this more straightened out, but I'm not too worried about that. I'm gonna do for like an inch, and now I'm going to, when I go off, I'm gonna pull this pretty hard to the left so I can kind of go off at a right angle. Rather than kind of gradually doing it, I nicked a few threads with my blade, which is kind of a bummer. I forgot to worry about that. All right, so now we have, this is just a stray thread. I have a little hiccup there, but there we go. Hey Nancy, how's it going? With a separate casing piece. Ooh, I don't know how you would do that. Well, you could, Sutter. Actually, what you could do, Sutter, is fold your casing over and make sure that when it's folded, it's the width of your elastic. And then what I would do, if it's a separate casing, is at those quarter marks, I would actually stitch. Just because it might be a little hard to manage 2 layers being lined up, you know? The other thing you could do is maybe make your fabric like 1/8 of an inch past the elastic and stitch it together, and then that way you could run your, like, keep your presser foot on the elastic that way, and then your needle just right along it, holding the 2 layers of fabric together, and then that'll get caught in the serging. You might be able to try that. All right. I don't even see where Nancy is. Where? Oh, there. Hi. Okay, there you are. I really need to figure out why you guys aren't in color anymore. Okay, so we're going to do this one now, this pair of pants. Let's make sure here we have... So when I was doing these a lot, I got really good at including my label. So if you're someone who wants to do this kind of professionally, you can do this, so you know, to where you can kind of include your label. But at the same time, you need to make sure that it can hang straight down, you know, or you just do it in your side seam. I don't know. Okay, so I have my chalk markings, remember. So I'm going to put those, oh, I need to put these inside out, right, inside out. I feel like I'm definitely one of those sewists now that does all these things that I used to be like, oh my gosh, you don't need to do all that stuff to set it up. But gosh, it's just so nice when it's a dream to do, you know? All right, so this is my front. It's shorter. I'm lining it up at the rise to check. The back is always longer. If it's not, I have some doubts about that pattern. All right, so remember, don't just attach it like this. You have to put the circle with the circle like this, right? I like to be able to see my chalk right here. Line it up. Sorry, I hope I didn't make you vomit just now. Yeah, I marked the elastic in quarters, Penny. And mark your garment in quarters too. Mine just happens to work that the side seams are half the distance between the fronts and the backs, but sometimes that isn't the case. So, all right, so I lift up my machine. How's that? I lift up my machine and I'm gonna place it on here like this. This is my center. Let's get it on there. Start sewing, and then now I'm going to start stretching, lining it up. Make sure to pull from the back here to hold it. It's not obviously as important when I'm sitting here like this and pulling it, right? But while you're sewing, you have to pull back here, and it'll feel natural to do that. Otherwise, you might bend your needle. All right. And I don't think you have to do it without the clips, but I think it's less to fiddle with if you don't have to use them. If your fabric's super curly, I'm really sorry to hear that. I don't find ironing helps, but maybe starch does. I don't have starch, so you might try that though. Get under there. My thumb's kind of guiding this fabric too. I realize I'm doing that kind of unconsciously. And this will work for any elastic, as long as the elastic is the same size or smaller than the waist you're sewing it to. I used to do this on 1-yard skirts where I would cut the skirt on the bias. It was this pattern I made for me, and I made a lot of them. And I would just make the waist the same size as my waist because the bias was so stretchy. So, hey Carrie, how's it going? Today's bread day. Oh, nice, Allison. Yeah, don't worry about it, Carrie. Oh, your name's Karen. I always call you Carrie. So there, we're even. Yeah, what kind of bread? What is bread day? We all want to know what bread day is. Okay, so my next step is to stitch down this elastic. It's a little messy. And then do my hems. And so let's convert this to cover stitch while we're standing here hearing about bread day. Because it'll be so nice to come back here and I don't have to do it. All right, so let's see if I can remember how to do it. I brought my little cheat sheet. My favorite lot comes with this amazing cheat sheet thing. Oh, see, here's what I was talking about. There's this when you said you pulled it apart and it looked, see that ladder stitch? Yeah. All right, let me find. I think I want the 1/4 inch wide. All right, so this is when I have to rethread the whole stinking machine. Oh, it is. Wait. Who said your name's Carrie? Oh, is that Mrs. Necro? Oh, that is so funny. I used to know someone whose name was Carrie and they spelled it K-E-R-I, and that's why Karen, I always think Karen's name's Carrie. You want to watch me do this? It's pretty tedious. All right, so that needs a needle. Whoop. Oh, thanks for subscribing. I forgot I turned off the alerts and then I turned them on. What? Hello, Larry. How's it going? Welcome, welcome. Easter babka. Oh my gosh. That sounds so good. Okay, let me focus a little bit here. It's all fun and games until working, if you're late joining, I'm making some kids' pajama bottoms today, and I sewed them in knit. It's a free pattern. The pattern comes in woven, but I made them in knit, and I serged the elastic on just now, so we're at that point where I do the hems and finish the elastic. We really only have very little left. This will take, as converting my machine to cover stitch is going to take as long as it did to one of those steps. So, all right, here's one needle. I don't want to hurt my needle while I'm pulling it out and putting it back in. And I got to make sure I put these screws back in. Otherwise, they're really tiny, and this is a weird little mechanism. I will, no, I don't want to use that one. Wait, what do I want to do? C1 and C3. Yeah, I do want to do this one. If I sew without tightening the other screws, they'll vibrate out. There we go. I don't tighten these all the way. I have learned with my machine, because for a while I was having trouble, that it helps all the needles when you're putting them in if they're all a little loose. And I think it's because it's like one shank holding 3 needles. And so even though there's 3 separate screws, if you tighten this one down too much, the middle screw you can't get the needle in. You know what I mean? I did, Penny. I did. I have used the help of this mod I found in a streamer once. I followed him on Twitter. He was a mod in a really, really big stream. And then I followed him on Twitter, and I was like, he offered to do stuff like this, and I was like, oh, wait up. I said, will you do any stream, or does it have to be gaming? Like, I know that shouldn't matter, but you just never know. And so he was like, no, I'll help you out. And he's such a pleasure to work with that, and it, cost me $80 because I just couldn't figure it out. Oh, see, this needle fell out. I'm changing needles because I'm converting my machine to a cover stitch right now. Apparently, I should have tightened that a little more than I thought. So yeah, now I'm having trouble getting it in there. There we go. Okay, let me tighten these up. I lost another needle. Oh my gosh, I'm doing something. Never had that happen. What is that? Oh, Raye, thank you. You want to see Hamtaro? Thank you, Raye. What did Nancy say? It's wine. Yep, coffee day, wine day. When I met my husband, he was really into coffee and kuchen every day, and I was all about that too. I was like, okay, which means like coffee and a treat. Oh, now I really want to. Yeah, I am. 1/4 inch wide cover stitch seems pretty wide for kids' pajamas. This was the sewing fairy. We have a sewing fairy around here who kind of gives me these little hints occasionally, like, like when you unthread the needle by accident when you're sewing. That's usually the sewing fairy telling me, hey, bonehead, you're about to put that on backwards. Anyone else have a sewing fairy? So that was a sewing fairy telling me, you don't want 1/4 inch wide cover stitch, you want 1/8 inch wide. So that's what I'm doing right now. All right. Thread my needles. I still need to do the looper. There we go. Okay. length 2.5 to 3.5, width, so chain looper to cover, upper looper down, blade position lock, all right, and my last spool of thread right here. I used to do this so fast. Here's the air threading. Get to do. Oh, I gotta do this. That closes these tubes right here, so when I do the air threading, it's all connected. This is my last step. Hopefully it all works. Okay. I don't see where it went though. Let me get some scrap. Okay. All right. Yeah, I got you a kitty, Ray, just for you. That looks pretty good. When I pull it, it tunnels. Okay. All right, let's stitch down the elastic. All right, Karen, yes, happy Easter to you too. I forgot, and happy April Fools. You missed my April Fools joke that I played on chat. I got a few of you. It was pretty funny. Okay, so here we are back at our waist. Let's look it over and get rid of a few of these threads. Oh, see, this is where I cut those couple threads there. That's unfortunate. I'm usually really good about not doing that. So when you're doing stitching down, we're going to put this right side out, unless you have a free arm. And by a free arm, I mean the bed of your machine is above the table, and you can put stuff around it, like, you know, the waist could go around it, or a cuff or whatever, right? I don't, and mine's flat and flush with the table, and so I do the same thing I do on the serger, where I put this above the machine bed, the circle above, right? So now you're gonna do the same kind of thing. Where's the back? Let's see here. I always make sure by lining up the rise. This is the back right here. We have our two little labels here. Hi, Ursula. I didn't see you here. Night. Thanks for coming. Adios if you're leaving. All right, so I have my back label here. So when you're sewing this on, doing your last stitch, one of the things that when you're kind of new at it, and this still happens to me because I don't do this very often, is when you're stretching it, it's kind of easy to get these a little bit diagonal like that, but you'll get better at it, I promise. So let's make sure that's not twisted. And let's just start at the center back here. I'm not worried about any of this yet. I'm gonna stick my label in there. And same kind of thing, we're gonna stretch this as we go. And so when you're lining up, like right here, make sure you're not doing it at an angle. Put the seam perpendicular to the elastic, right? And then we're gonna hold it. And my machine stops needle down, which is really great. All right, so I just got a few stitches. My needle's down. I'm gonna pull this and just slide the under fabric so that you don't have any slack up here. You don't want this, right? You don't want this loosey-goosey bubble there. So pull it slack, pull on it. And this is really fun. I really love doing this. If you have a machine that really hates sewing on elastic, then you're probably gonna need to change your needle or do some practice. I used to always have a machine like that. This is just a size 14 on my industrial. Usually I'm sewing on a 16. I'm kind of aiming for this little stitch that's already on the serger thread. Just try and make it even. That time I didn't get my seams lined up. Did you see that? I just saw that as they went by. Whoops. All right, and so give it a little bit of adjustment. There we go. There's my back stitch right there. It always leaves that. That looks pretty good. See, and now it's not going to twist. Yes, Louise, I'm sorry. I am sewing through all layers. So I'm gonna do it one more time. You're fine, Sharon. Yeah, you're 38 minutes behind. That's funny, yeah. You'll hear me in a while. Okay, so same thing, right? So we have this right side out because I have a smooth bed on my machine. Here's my little back stitch. We can tuck it under, but we'll just tuck it under as we go. And let's make sure we know we have the back. This is the back right here. I kind of knew that too. I forgot that I have my overlap with my elastic. So this was the back. I knew that. It would have been a shame to double check and find I was wrong though. All right, so let's get that under there, put our label. And now my niece will know that her aunt goes on her back. All right, so yeah, I'm folding it over. These are all layers. I don't backstitch it first because only one backstitch is necessary. All right, and now this one's much smaller. So same thing, I'm gonna pull this right here, this under layer, and I'm gonna pull the whole elastic waist. And I'm pretty close to that edge. I find that that looks the best, but I will say sometimes on some fabrics, the fabrics are just so much to manage sometimes that I just do what I can to be honestly just parallel and consistent, because sometimes I get it way up here and then you have this like little edge that'll flip up. I have that happen too, you know. How is the past going? Yeah. Can you warn us about anything that's going to happen in the future, Sharon, please? We always joke about that with the live stream being uploaded. It's like, people of the future, make sure I didn't make any mistakes before you start. So I'm doing a lot with my hands. I'm kind of giving myself some tension back here. My needle is down. My pressure of my presser foot is quite significant, and I can adjust that up here with this screw. And on the Juki, you know, you have to loosen this, and then you turn the pressure, and then you adjust this theoretically so that this doesn't, I don't know, adjust itself. I'm not sure. And you know, I'm making sure that I pull this, and that so all these little gathers right here are perpendicular to the waist. It just looks nicer. You're basically trying to sew this directly in line with where it is on the garment. You wouldn't want this spot to get sewn over here, right? So you're just trying to I like just pull it, stretch it out, and then that way it's all nice and smooth. It makes it easier. My biggest trouble right here is trying to line up my stitch. Oh, and I did pretty good, but I did get a little bit like, here's my stitch, here's my back stitch. You know? All right, that looks pretty cute. And see, they'll just be easy wear. I love waists like this. All right, so now we're gonna hem the bottom. So let's check them out. And, you know, we'll just cut this flush. I don't want to cut it too much because when I'm turning it and stitching it, I don't want to pull it apart right here, you know? This is one thing I don't like about home sergers, is that they're not as secure as industrials. Industrials, it just wouldn't pull apart right here. If I cut that right now, that would pull apart. So, but the thing is with the cover stitch, I'm going to turn it under and I'm going to stitch from this side. It does not trim this little tail here, but I can trim it later. All right, but let's make sure, this is the one thing when you're doing cover stitch, is that all your edges are lined up. So you do want to do that. And this is that one hem that was a little bit off. I could probably, you know, if this was a higher profile garment, I would probably make sure that this was all level. I mean, is that, you know, maybe I want to go all the way across here, you know? Hey, Barbara, how's it going? How are you? Happy Thursday. I don't want to, you know, mess around with this too much because then my legs will be different lengths from each other. I'm just evening that up. If it was for a client, maybe I would make sure. All right, so now we're ready on those. Let's look at the shorts. All right, so these edges pretty much are lining up here. I really hate trimming my threads there. I just don't want my seam to pull apart when I go to do the hemming. One thing you could do, the only reason I'm not, but I don't know why I do this. I'm always, I don't know, pretending like I would never do that in production. You could just stitch this, right? We're home sewing. We can do whatever we want. And then I can just trim this to my heart's content. That is way better. I don't, because I'm like, oh, you can't do that in the factory, you know? And that's been kind of on my mind lately probably because of the interview. I'm thinking about the factory work and it's like, I'm not sewing for a factory. I don't have to think about that. I have to remind myself. And none of you guys are either probably, so. That would be a totally different conversation of sewing. Whoops, whoops, whoops. Oh my gosh. Holy heck. Okay, here we go. You're great. Awesome. That's always nice to hear. So I'm gonna participate in this thing on YouTube called Friday Sews, and I'm gonna upload my first one tomorrow. Do any of you watch those? Because I'm kind of excited about it. I don't really know what I'm doing, but I'm ready. All right, so now we're gonna do our hems. Right, Ray? Let's just do it on the pants too. Why not, right? I don't know why I'm trying to make it hard on myself. Let's just stitch this. I don't really need to secure the tail because it's all going to get secured with the cover stitch. And this stitch looks so nice. My serger did a pretty good job on this. Why are these all of a sudden not? What's what? What's what, Wimmelin? What's what? Oh, Friday Sews. is it Barbara? Did you tell me about that? I think it was Beverly. Beverly told me about it. So apparently there's this little thing that YouTube vloggers do where they do a Friday sews, and they pretty much, it's like kind of a mix between personal and sewing, and it's just a short little video. It's uploaded, it won't be live. What am I doing here? Where's my mouse? Oh, I left it way over here. All right, let's get my tools here. Hello. Yeah, so Friday Sews is apparently like this, just a way for like YouTubers to give like an update what's going on in the world in their lives and sewing. And I don't know, I'm learning. I don't know what it is. I love how I walked all the way over to throw that stuff away when I have a trash can right here. Oh, I haven't been writing down my timestamps. Womp womp. Okay, so the questions, Beverly, I need to find those. Yeah, it was Beverly. I knew that. Sorry, Beverly. I'm terrible. Beverly's so awesome. She sends me little tips and things, you know, and one was the Frugal Frocks, which I was late to the party on, and then the Friday Sews. And so I just recorded mine. I'm going to check it out. You do, Donna? Yeah. Okay, so I'm just going to introduce myself since it's my first one and just say, this is where I live. This is what I like to sew, basically. I feel like it's a good opportunity to talk about something maybe on your mind that you're thinking about. Maybe other people could say, oh yeah, I've been thinking about that too, you know? All right, so I don't know why this said it has an inch hem allowance when it was turned up at 1 1/4. That's a 1 1/4 inch hem allowance. So, Louise, it's if you put in the search bar Friday Sews as one word, you can even put a hashtag in front of it. There's going to be a bunch of videos that pop up. And it is really cool. Like, Beverly's right. Like, it's kind of a mix of personal and sewing, small snippets. And I really like it because, like, one was like, this is where I live in Australia, and this is what it looks like. And I thought it was pretty cool. It's like 1 part awkward, 2 parts sewing, 2 parts personal, and 1 part pondering. That's my initial impression right now. Okay, I haven't done this in a while. I am fiddling right now. So I'm going to start on my inseam since it's probably going to look the worst right there. So here's my inseam right here. And you do this from the right side. Okay, so now with mine, I would also be a good girl if I started, this is the back, Okay, so what I also got really good at when I was doing this for clients is I start on the back and then approach the seam, and it does a little better. And so there's no blade, so you can kind of wiggle. Okay, so because I've sewn on this a little bit though, I probably need to kind of, let's see if I can pull out some threads a little bit. Oh, it's looped around one. Just to get a little bit of movement under there, right? "10 questions for Friday Sewist, including is the recent hashtag." Yes, and it's a good way to find new channels to follow as well. That's what I've been doing. I've been following new channels, and I'm hoping that I can meet some like YouTube pals. Hopefully, if they'll have me. You know, Beverly, what made you telling me about that, what that made me realize is that, because when you said, oh, they probably like having an educator in the bunch. And I was like, what do you mean? Isn't everybody doing tutorials? And you're right. I never really thought about the fact that a lot of sewing people on YouTube are doing like an unboxing or pattern review or pattern comparison, right? They're not doing a tutorial. So that's pretty neat. So I'm trying not to get my pant to creep under here. And I'm just feeling the edge that's folded back, and I'm keeping my left needle lined up with that cut edge underneath. And yes, this is tricky and awkward, okay? So. You have to do it from the, and Stephanie's right, I should just do it inside out, but I didn't switch them. So now I just lifted up my presser foot to release, because it's pushing up against this seam. And I have to be careful going over these thicknesses. You're kind of concerned about torquing. You don't want to get this to torque. I find too, if you get a stitch that kind of ripples, you can iron that out. So now I'm back on the beginning. There's no back stitch with this. You're just going to try and get in the exact same channels you started on. Raise up your needles. You didn't ask for a cover stitch tutorial, but you're getting it. And so I have to kind of sew a little bit to kind of get it out of there. Mine's pretty tight. So look, it's kind of a mess right now. We're going to make it look a little better. Yes, Procreate is an app on the iPad for drawing. That is it. This is just an extra thread right here that I can't seem to get rid of. Oh no, it's attached right here. I just didn't see it. And it's only $10, which is pretty affordable for such a powerful drawing app. You know, like, it's no Illustrator, but man, for a lot of stuff, you just don't even need Illustrator. Like, it does not replace Illustrator by any stretch of the imagination. All right, so I didn't quite get it in the channels, but I could remove a few of these stitches right here. It's probably a little blurry for you. See these right here? Because I overlapped all the way to here. So let's get rid of these first few. And then it'll line up nicely if we want to be picky about it, right? You don't have to worry about the stitch coming out. You don't have to secure it on your machine. Just because it doesn't backstitch, that's okay. And now it will look like, you know, ready to wear, store-bought. So there we go. And see right here, I didn't quite get on there. I can trim this off. Just be really careful when you're trimming it off because you don't want to cut your garment, you know. But when you start getting pretty good at this, what you'll end up doing is you'll have, see if I did I do it really good anywhere? Almost right here. So you see it's just thread kind of, engulfing the edge of the fabric. So there we go. Let's do one more. Let's see, where's my back? I've been working on organizing a lot lately, Allison, just because it's like, you know, like that's kind of the mode I'm in because I just moved, you know. This is the back, this is the back, this is the back. So I just want to start, but that's my side seam. I just won't start on this in back of this seam. The past is great, Sharon. It's awesome. It's been 38 minutes. We know Sharon is where she's at. All right, get it in there. Kind of wiggle it back and forth. Get it going. It wants to fold at that hemline. You just want to keep it parallel, right? I was gonna say, it's sewing so much faster. I broke a thread. Oh, I got my, oh look. I got a thread stuck right here. Well, codswallop. I was wondering why it suddenly got faster. Womp womp. The bottom was doing good. What's going on here? What's going on here? What do you think you're doing? Actually, I find this to be the biggest problem I have with this machine is the threads get tangled back there. Even when I keep them pulled tight. Where's this one pulling? Oh, that's that. Okay, okay, okay. Where's this? Oh, okay. I was gonna say, it was just barely threaded. That's why I couldn't see the tail. I was pulling the wrong thread. Let's get this back in there. A rolling presser foot. What does that mean? I don't know what that means. But I'm very intrigued. Like a walking foot? Are you thinking walking foot, Stephanie? On my serger, I do not have one. I saw a brand new blind stitch machine yesterday for $200. I was thought of Nancy. I was like, well, this is tempting. I'm looking for a buttonhole foot for my industrial right now, and I'm not having any luck. I keep running into the same one, but I don't think it works for the industrial with electronics. Someone said it in the comments, and then the person who posted it was like, yep, I just discovered the same thing because they got a new machine. I hope I fixed that. Is it stitching? Okay, yeah, we're back on track. Oh, which one did you get, Barbara? Hi, Derek. How's it going? Oh, I know, Derek. I don't know why they set machines up like this. It's the same with flat seaming or flat lock. What? Yeah, what did you get? Alright, so I always have to lift my presser foot up. When I get to a seam, it doesn't like thicknesses for cover stitch. Ooh, I think I missed it. I may have missed it on that section there. I'm just feeling the little cut edge there. I mean, if you really wanted to ensure yourself some success, one thing you could do, this is better, by the way, to clean this up before you get it, but look at all this extra fabric I have right here. One thing you could do, like I'm trying to think of ways you could cheat, is you could fuse your hem up like this, then draw the line of the raw edge on the right side with something that disappears. I honestly think that's overkill, and you'll get good at it, I promise. You really do. I'm not making it look like you do, but you do. Okay. This isn't something I do a whole lot anymore. And yes, I just put like one stitch in the hem just to get, I just wanted to get it out of the machine. There we go. Let's see if I missed that spot, because that is kind of awkward to fix. Oh, I didn't. I was lucky. It looks pretty bad. I need to trim all this raw edge. It'll look way better. Let's get rid of this weird thread right here. Not sure where that's from. When I iron it, it'll look better. Cool. All right, two more. I see a welcome to somebody. Hello, Natalie. Welcome. Bienvenue. Oh, I have seen roller foots. Okay, wait, what did you get? Where can you buy the pattern, Margie? This is from the 5 out of 4 website. So the number 5 and then the words out of and the number 4. Patterns, 5 out of 4 patterns. And it's free. I want to see where you got a genome. Well, let us know how it is. You got, oh yeah, Nancy, exactly. Hi, Elizabeth, how's it going? Oh, I hope your kitty's okay. I hope your kitty's okay. All right. Oh, let's turn this. See, these hem circumferences are much smaller. So much better if I turn it inside out. Everybody has this issue on the serger. There's very rare that the serger has a free arm. You see it on blind hemming machines though. All right, this is the back. I have to always tell myself this. Press the seam allowance towards the back, and I like to start stitching on the back. Raise my needles up. Get it under there, lower it, and now let's fold it all the way around. You could iron it first too, that would help. Get your width consistent all the way around. You know, maybe one cool, oh, I just broke a thread. One cool tool that might be really useful is that what's that tool I have that looks like a hatchet, but it's all in plastic, and I can like not score the fabric, but I can put a little dent in it. That would be kind of handy if you want some sort of visual cue. Hopefully that fixed it. I used to do this so much I would fly doing this, but I don't really, my machine's just not into it lately, so I don't really trust it. And on this thickness, I'm going to kind of help it along. The other thing is, if you're really nervous about not catching your fabric, what you can do is what I did on this one was I made it much wider, and you can just trim that off. Let's clean up this before I get there. It makes it a little easier. That's where I lost my thread right there. So let's look at that in a second here. So when your needle breaks, your needle thread breaks on the cover stitch, you can just go back with your regular machine and stitch that back up. Yeah, this thing, bone folder for scoring. What's this thing called? This. Like, what if I could do this, you know? You know, and then I can maybe see. That'd probably work better on wovens, to be honest. This looks pretty good, though. What I'm noticing is one stitch is tighter than the other. I think that's why it's giving me a little bit of grief. Last one. Just a checkup. Oh, good. Mine just went for a checkup too. And then they were like, you know, Same with Molly. I asked Molly's age, and I was like, I was on speakerphone with my mom because I was waiting at my mom's house because our vet still has COVID policies in place. So you just drive up, hand them your pet, and then you wait, and then they call you in the car. And so my mom lives 2 houses away from my vet, so I hang out at her house. And I had my vet on speakerphone when I was there. Because my mom's also a retired nurse, and I love getting her advice on anything. And I was like, so how old did you say is Molly? And they were like, well, her eyes are the eyes of a 10-year-old, and her teeth eyes of a 12-year-old, something like that. And my mom and I were like, oh, I feel like we just got Molly because we got her when she was an adult, so we didn't know much about her. And my cat is the same age as Molly, which is shocking because I've had Haku since he was a kitten. Why is there so much fabric? Oh, that's the edge of my throat plate. Just the thicknesses. I'm going to slow down for it. Okay, clean this up. Yeah, I don't like my cover stitch anymore. It just doesn't look that great. And when I brought it for the tune-up a 1.5 years ago, and I just said, I just really want to make sure the cover stitch is okay. He didn't know what that was. And I was like, Very experienced place where they do machine maintenance. And he literally said, I don't know what you're talking about. What's a cover stitch? I was like, oh, now we're going to have fighting words. Hero marker, thank you. Yeah, that thing's pretty nifty. Okay, I'm going to go back to my machine and then maybe I can read chat a little bit better. Let's get all my tools. And the pants here. Where's the mouse? There's the mouse. Hera. I'm never going to remember that. That's just a little zoomed in. Your serger has a free arm. She really does sound like she should be famous. Okay, let's see what we think here. So there's the back. So we need to do a little bit of thread cleanup. But these turned out pretty cute. I think with a little white t-shirt or a matching top. I just only had a yard because I made the slippers. Everyone needs slippers for winter with their pajama shorts, right? Doesn't really go together. Oh man, allergies are so bad here right now. All right, and here's the pocket. Looks good. All right, and let's look at the pants. I remember I went through this phase. So before I married my husband, my last name was Graves. That was my maiden name. And I just I don't really have any personal, much of a connection with my real father. I talk about my dad here, but that's my stepdad that I'm always talking about. And he's been in my life since I was like 12. And so, but my name has always been different from my mom. Like there's a brief period of time, like, you know, the first few years of my life where our names are the same. And then she got remarried and she changed her name. And so mine was the oddball. So I had a brother, sister, mother, father, and I had a different last name in the house. And I went through my 20s, then I met my partner and we got married, and I changed my name. But before that, I didn't like my last name. I didn't like, because people would kind of make fun of it being Graves, and I didn't have any connection to it really. And so I remember seeing some, like a U.S. representative or senator in the paper named Good Latte. And besides the fact that those two words just sound good together and it's coffee, that had nothing to do with it. I just loved the way it rolled off the tongue. Sarah me Good Latte. And I went through this phase where I told Michael, I'm like, I just want to change my last name to Good Latte, you know? And I was kind of half serious just because I loved the way it kind of all rolled off the tongue. But now I look back and I just think, wow, did I pick Good Latte? It just sounds like I love coffee. And his name was probably pronounced Good Lat. I don't know. But then when I got married, I definitely took my husband's name. And his family tried to talk me out of it because they were like, you don't have to do that if you really want to maintain your independence. You don't have to change your last name. And I kept saying, no, you guys have been so great to me. You've all really embraced me and made me feel a part of the family. And I have more connection to you guys than I do with that side of my family. So I did. And I was just loved Sarah Me Duffy. You know, sounded so good to me. So, all right. Here's that little spot I need to fix right here where my needle came undone. So let's just fix it up and no one will ever know. Except that I just kind of did it messy. The knit was like, now I'm just trimming it up. So let's look at the slippers with these. God, this fabric is so cozy. So I have a feeling they're not going to be able to get these on either. Look at this. It just doesn't stretch enough. Gordon Duffy. Oh, really? That name sounds familiar. Well, and what's funny is that in Chaco, which is the biggest city around here, there's a bar downtown called Duffy's Tavern. And so naturally, sometimes people will be like, you have any relation to Duffy's? I'm like, I've never even been in Duffy's. So, and I'm not Irish. My husband is, like, his grandparents came here. So not too long ago to Chicago, I think. I am more Scottish Norwegian. So this is pretty cute though. This stuff is, like, I can't even feel it. It's that soft. This was a good pick. I really hope they can get these on. But look, I don't know, you guys. I stretched these as I put it together. I don't know. I don't have a whole lot of hope. At that point, the other thing is I can't tell left and right very easily. You can on the bottom, but we'll see. I'm trying to make up to them by giving them jammy bottoms. Maybe, Carrie. Yeah, Raye, I know. The slippers thing, nothing against this pattern, but I don't think this pattern is it for me. I think I will try a different one. I think what it needs is, I think this pattern is doable. You could modify it. But what I really think it needs is more circumference here. And then maybe like a little elastic at the back to hold it cinched if you want. Or if this is still fitting really well. Because look at, that's not a very tall slipper. So it's not like it's baggy in there. So I think there's these work and they look pretty cute. And I also like this pattern usually comes to a point down here. And so that does give you more space to get it on and off. But it's really hard to nail sewing that point with the fuzzy stuff. So I went straight up and kind of flared a little, and I think it could do more. So I think this is what I would do to this pattern. This is what I would do, not that you're asking. I would probably flare this out a tiny bit, flare it out a tiny bit here, go a little more straighter, and level it up a little here, like that. So then you have an actual cuff to fold down. Because the way the picture shows it, it's folded in the front and not in the back. More like this. But I already got rid of that point. That point was really hard to sew and turn. Remember how hard that was for me? Yeah, they're pretty cute. It was, I didn't ever found 4-way stretch in this. So that's part of the problem. But I did put the stretch going around. So right now, this is as stretchy as it gets, and it just doesn't open much. So we'll see. It's an experiment. And if they work, I'll definitely show you guys pictures. I'll have her send pictures of them. Maybe jammy bottoms and slippers. I really wish I was sending my nephew pants. I feel kind of bad that they're shorts, but I just didn't have enough. He's tall. I didn't plan on it. I just was like, all right, a fat quarter's not going to be enough for the slippers. And now I have to get a yard. What am I going to do with all this extra fabric? I'll make jammies. Oh, this isn't enough for a jammy top. I wish I planned better. You know? Okay. I will make these look a little better. And let's look at my threads on the inside at the pockets. Because remember, that was a spot that I left with the thread tails. Right here. So yeah, see, this is what happens to mine. They get this long, like, antenna, you know? So I like to secure it because I don't like those antennae. Let's group them together. And then I feel like I can trim them pretty close without worrying. I think everybody's serger is different though. Some do better than others, you know? If I can get this on here and we'll, but once I sew it down, it just looks cleaner. See, but then I have more threads to trim because of my stitch I just put on. All right, I feel that looks better already. It's not great though. You need a right angle there. That's just the only way to solve that. Yeah, right, Raye, exactly. That's what I was thinking. If you make that circumference maybe a little bigger, but then put a little elastic at the back, it's just not easy to find the fabrics you need for that. And I couldn't find the polar fleece. Like, my store didn't carry it. And like I said, the only one I found was in Canada, and it was going to cost me $50. I had to buy 1 yard minimum, so it was this massive amount. And that's because I wanted 4-way stretch. So it was probably only like $25 or $30 a yard only. That's the thing with 4-way stretch nice fleeces. That's how it is. There just wasn't a lot to pick. I was shopping at the wrong time of year. It was all gone probably. I feel like I missed a lot of chat today, so I'm really sorry about that. But I'm really glad you guys are here. So I will probably have a little video tomorrow called Friday Sews. Let me know what you think. I don't know what I'm doing, but I really appreciate the suggestion from Beverly. That was really great. And I really would, I don't know, I just want to meet more people on YouTube. I love Instagram. It's great, but this is where, you know, I am. So yeah, but is it 4-way stretch, Barbara? I looked at Joann's and they didn't have any online. I found a place in Colorado and they had, what was it? There was something up with it. Oh, I think it was wind block, so it didn't have stretch. They look like the Sew DIY Slower pattern. Oh, yeah. So maybe I could check theirs out. It looks just like the ones that is suede with lambskin inside. So to me, I feel like this was, like I've had slippers that look like this. Remember, they look like brown suede and then sheepskin on the inside. Oh yeah, what am I going to do on Saturday? So I was thinking about having like a Q&A and maybe troubleshooting. But what do you guys think about that? I forgot. I don't have a plan for Saturday. And let's talk about my April calendar real quick. I have is this it? I have an epic, that's my pattern table over there. I kind of have an epic April planned. So next week, if you want to join in on the Annie cardigan, you just need to sign up for their newsletter and get the pattern. That's Melanated Fabrics. Yeah, right, Mrs. Necro. Yeah, they're all two-way stretch, exactly. Or they don't list the stretch. That's the thing. Right, there could be, Joanne, it is two-way, yeah, okay. Yeah, so a lot of what I couldn't find was I couldn't find if it was four-way or two-way. So then I just didn't buy it. There could be more out there. They just don't list it. So they don't list the stretch. And that's important. If it's stretchy at all, you need to know, is it stretchy this way, or both? So you need to know that. I don't know why I was kind of surprised no one. And so I just left comments or reviews like, I would love to know the stretch on this. So yeah. All right, so April's the next week. The Annie cardigan by So Def, which is a Mimi G pattern. It's a cardigan. I showed pictures in the cutting stream of the pants yesterday. After that, it'll be the Yanta overalls by Helen's Closet. And then the week of, what is that, the 21st, I'm doing the Texas top by Personal Clothing. And I think I'm going to scooch those two on Wednesday, Thursday. And then on Saturday, I'm going to do fitting of the Dawn jeans. Nice, Florentine. So I'm going to do the fitting of the Dawn jeans on Saturday the 24th. And then start cutting them on, I think that says the 28th. My graphic's this big on my screen. So, yeah. To make a t-shirt, you want me to make a t-shirt on Saturday? I don't know. I mean, maybe if I could find some fabrics for, well, I'm already sending these off tomorrow. Maybe. We'll see. I may come up with something for Saturday. I have a ton of production sewing to do, but I don't want to bore you guys with that. I have 100 bags I need to make, and yeah, I'm not quite ready. I need one more fabric for them too. So Cali Fabrics. Oh, really? But it's hit or miss. They might be getting dead stock, which is pretty good quality then. Usually it's like from a manufacturer, which is great. Yeah, I tried all my usual sources. I used to buy outdoor fabrics, and I just couldn't find any. I was also shopping in January, and I think everything was picked clean. The Kiki pants. Cut and sew them in. What is the Kiki? I could make a serger basket for the cutoffs. That's a good idea. That's what I should do, huh? Two-way fabric to make. Yeah, two-way stretch is fine for a t-shirt. Because usually t-shirts aren't that stretchy. Yeah. A serger basket. That'd be fun. If you guys have any patterns you like, DM me, or you can email me, sosolive@gmail.com. I appreciate that. Oh, I think the neighbors are leaving. I hope I was quiet enough. 100 bags. Yeah, that's how I started off the design and manufacturing series, is because I have this project and I figured this is going to be great. I'm going to do this kind of simultaneously. You think so, Beverly? Okay. Well, I don't have one fabric. But if you guys are interested in production sewing, I'll do that with you guys. I'll need the company. My plan is to do like 25 a week, which is pretty doable. I could just do it nonstop, but then I can't get anything else done. So I think I timed myself, and I'm getting each one done in under 15 minutes. So that's not too bad. I got the time down. I cut them this week, so they're ready to go. I just need that pocket fabric, which thank you for the reminder because I need to get that done. I'm going to design a pocket fabric. I don't know why, because I'm crazy. Yeah, I love the dead stock thing. It's great. Except that you can't reorder it. You got to get enough for your project. So, let's see. Answer questions, combine it. Okay, so how about I do the... So you think do the serger basket and then a Q&A, or production sewing and a Q&A? I could actually do a bunch of production sewing without the thing I'm missing. I can't exactly, Raye. I could. But I was thinking with the Q&A, also it would be nice if I could sew what you need if you need a question answered. This is going to be different than my Patreon thing, though. Just so those folks that are at that tier where we do the Zoom session, I have Patreon, and I just changed my tiers up. Okay, let's be honest. A scrap bin is not going to bust my scrap fabric. Like, that's a billion scrap bins, you guys. Oh, nice, Mrs. Necro. I'm getting mine next week, too. Woo, woo. Lifting pins and needles just on the Kiki underwear. Oh, yeah, I have that. Do I have that pattern? I think I have that pattern. I'm not sewing underwear this weekend. I have to gear myself up for that. I did that last year, though. It was really fun. I have a grip mat under my serger. Is that what you... Wait, who said that? Is that what you're talking about? I'm trying to keep up with chat. Yeah, so I think I can do some bags. I was telling you about Patreon. So for those of you that are just signed up for my Patreon tier where I do a Zoom session, it's going to be a two-way. Like, I'll be able to see what you're doing, and if you need help, and you can hold it up and go, look, this is wrong. And then I can help you out with it. So it's going to be a little different. It's going to be like one-on-one, Dear Abby of sewing. And hopefully we'll get you back on track with your project. Or if you're just like, can you show me how to do blah, blah, blah? And if you let me know before the Zoom, I'll get geared up to do that. So, lifting pins and needles. I'm going to check her out. Okay, cool. The Kiki underwear. That's awesome. The underwear streams were really fun. I was nervous and it was fine. Okay, cool. I'll check her out. I'm assuming it's a woman, right? I think you said she. Grip mat is bottom layer. Oh. Okay. Stop it, Raye. Stop it. I'm not doing gloves ever. I'd rather knit them. I've knit them. That was great. Beverly, do you have a pattern for the scrap? Wait, scrap buster. Ugh. I would find the best pattern. All right, I'll look for a pattern. Ooh, I kind of like this idea. This is kind of fun. Yeah, Terry's not here to be like, Okay, cool. Well, this was fun, you guys. I appreciate it. What time is it? 1:30? I didn't do any of my timestamps. But at least this time's on the screen. I can see it, right? Oh, I need to put a little color thing behind it. It should be in the description, Stephanie. Cool. Yeah, all right. Well, if you guys are fine with just kind of a loose Saturday, that's fine with me. I feel kind of bad that these were the streams I had for this week, for the interview week, because I don't think the interview was supposed to come this week, but admittedly, I just don't worry about that kind of stuff. It's great coverage and everything, but I don't have any expectations, But I feel kind of bad that yesterday's stream I was late, and I also didn't plan the stream this week. I planned the Annie cardigan, so right. So this is a little unconventional. Next week will be a little bit more conventional because we'll cut and then we'll sew just like we did this, but it'll be a pattern. I don't know. This was fine. So, good night, Louise. All right, I'll see you guys Saturday, 11 a.m. Pacific, and it's a surprise. A knitting, no, I'm not knitting. I mean, I knit, I know how, but there are great people you can watch to do that. Maybe one day I'll knit with you guys, maybe in a Zoom session. I am working on a sweater, but I keep forgetting that I'm working on it. That's how that's going. But I'm also in the Made Here Yarn Club, and I got 2 skeins of her yarn the other day, and I'm like, oh, cast on a project. There is a shadow over here, and I keep thinking it's a critter. It is just a tree moving. Sorry, I keep looking at it. All right, I'll see you guys Saturday, 11 a.m. Pacific, and we'll hopefully be doing something great. So happy sewing. Have a great rest of your week, and stay safe and stay healthy, you guys, all right? Where's my thingy? Okay, bye.